I can't eat such a cheap pizza. Order again from a high-end restaurant. Ethan's wife Caddy exclaimed, sweeping her long hair back and looking at the pizza as if it were something dirty. This happened when Ethan, the eldest son, came home for his first long vacation after getting married. Even if it's cheap pizza, it's from a proper shop. I protested, but it seemed to have no effect on Caddy, who just snorted in disdain. That can't be true. I have a taste for fine food. This is just cheap stuff. Order a pizza from a high-end restaurant, quickly, Caddy demanded arrogantly. Realizing it was futile to argue with her, I reluctantly nodded, gripping my mobile phone in my pocket. Yes, I understand. My name is Rebecca. I'm a 73-year-old housewife. I once aspired to be a craftsperson in my youth, but now I live a peaceful life with my husband. My husband, Neil, comes from a long line of farmers, and naturally, he took over the family farm. Even now at 75, he works hard every day growing vegetables. I knew he was a man of few words when we married through an arranged marriage, but his love for farming is intense. He always worries about his vegetables on stormy days. I fell for his hard-working nature. Neil may not be good with words, but he always cares for me and prioritizes what I want to do. If you need money, I'll work harder and earn more, he once said, blushing, which made me happy. His words, though few, always move me. The ordinary days I spend with Neil are symbols of happiness for me. Little did I know that our tranquil life as a couple was about to be threatened. Mom, I found someone I want to marry. Ethan messaged me one day as I was watching my usual lunchtime TV show. When I saw that message, my heart nearly leaped out of my chest. Ethan, now 40, is a system engineer. He's a man of few words, like Neil, and I never thought he would be in a relationship with a woman. Although I was fine with Ethan remaining single, I had a slight desire to see my grandchildren. Ethan, being our only son, had almost led me to give up on ever seeing grandchildren. Trembling with joy, I struggled to calm myself as I replied to Ethan. Really? I'm so happy. Bring her over anytime. A reply came immediately to my emotional message, and arrangements proceeded smoothly. We were set to meet Ethan's girlfriend the Sunday after next. Then I'll bring her over the weekend after next. Thank you. Yes, I'm looking forward to it. When I told Neil, who had just returned from work, about Ethan's marriage, even the usually reticent Neil, I wonder what she's like. And he too had a smile on his face, seemingly uplifted. Both of us had fantasized about Ethan bringing home a wonderful wife someday. Now that the fantasy was becoming a reality, I couldn't contain my excitement. Then, the promised Sunday arrived. Unfortunately, it was a day of heavy rain and strong winds. So, Neil went out to work, saying he needed to check on the fields. I was disappointed to miss our family meeting day, but I knew Neil valued his work, so I didn't stop him. Alone, I prepared tea and snacks, waiting for Ethan and his girlfriend to arrive. Mom, I'm home! After a while, I heard Ethan's voice at the entrance, followed by the sound of an umbrella being folded. Welcome back! The rain was terrible, wasn't it? Yeah, we're soaked. This is Caddy, the woman I'm planning to marry. Welcome, I'm Rebecca, Ethan's mom. Nice to meet you. Hi, this rain is the worst. It's ruined my brand new outfit. Caddy, Ethan's future wife, brushed off the raindrops from her clothes with an annoyed gesture. Her outfit was a trendy, short top with shoulder cutouts, showing some skin. The bottoms were slim pants, but in a strikingly bright green color, unsuitable for a family meeting. At first glance, Caddy was a beauty with a model's figure. I never imagined Ethan would end up with someone like her. I was astonished, but more than that, I was concerned about Caddy's attitude. Not only her appearance, but her failure to even say a polite greeting left me at a loss for words. Having had little interaction with such flashy types in my youth, I struggled to find the right distance to keep with her. Feeling suddenly tense and unnaturally stiff, "Please come this way," I managed to say. "Isn't Dad here today?" After the three of us sat down, Ethan, noticing my discomfort, tilted his head in an exaggerated manner. "Yes, he went to check on the fields because of the weather." "I see. Can't be helped, I guess." Ethan seemed convinced. "Huh?" But Caddy next to him raised her voice critically. Coming all this way in this weather and he doesn't even show his face? What kind of father-in-law is that? I'm feeling a bit uneasy about the future. Caddy, playing with the ends of her hair, expressed her dissatisfaction. Ethan, looking uneasy, said, Dad's a farmer. It can't be helped. Bad weather affects the earnings. He tried to calm Caddy. I'm sorry about that. By the way, Caddy, you're quite young, aren't you? How old are you? I decided to change the subject and asked Caddy a few questions. I'm 32. Honestly, there's quite a generation gap between Ethan and me. Is that so? But you get along well, right? At this question, Caddy looked away, and Ethan awkwardly looked down. Something about Ethan's behavior was odd, and I was doubtful whether Caddy truly liked Ethan. We get along. Just the other day, we went to see a movie together. Yeah, that war movie was so boring. I fell asleep in the middle. The family meeting was enveloped in an uneasy atmosphere. While Caddy was in the restroom, I asked Ethan, Ethan, does Caddy truly love you? Of course she does, but she's a bit spoiled, being the youngest at home and always getting her way. I see, but don't you think her attitude is a bit too much? What can I say? She's always like this. Ethan, seeming timid, appeared quite smitten with Caddy's beauty and didn't find her attitude particularly bad. I wasn't convinced, but if Ethan was okay with it, I decided not to interfere further. Above all, I was eager to see my grandchildren. I didn't want to dampen their decision and spoil their future. With Caddy's attitude unchanged, the family meeting ended, and they left. Neil returned just as they were leaving. How was it? He asked. Well, let's just say she's a bit lacking in common sense. Hearing my opinion, Neil seemed to ponder for a moment and then went to his room. I sighed and started preparing dinner. A month after the worst family meeting, Ethan and his wife registered their marriage and became officially married. Ethan sent a photo of them submitting their marriage registration. As usual, Caddy was dressed flamboyantly. Her short dress fully exposed her thighs. While she indeed had a great figure, I couldn't help but wish, unconsciously, that she, being 32, would dress a bit more conservatively. Ethan and his wife swiftly built a house in a seaside town. It was an area where wealthy people lived, with beautiful streets. Naturally, the real estate was expensive. But Ethan, having been a single system engineer until he was 40, seemed to have saved a considerable amount of money. Additionally, the wedding ring was a $10,000 piece from a famous brand, which surprised me. I'm sure Caddy insisted on a high-end brand ring. Ethan was never much interested in brands. As I was surprised by their new life start, I was waiting to hear about a pregnancy. Then I got a direct call on my mobile phone from Caddy. Hello, this is Rebecca speaking. Rebecca, I'm shopping right now and there's this dress I really want to buy. What? What do you mean? I was taken aback by her sudden call and request. So, can you come right now? You're not working and must be free, right? I finally understood what Caddy was implying. She wanted me to come over and buy the dress she desired. Her unreasonable request left me sighing. Maybe you should ask Ethan about that. No, Ethan is at work now, right? He can't come. I called you because I thought you'd understand without me saying. Caddy's condescending laugh made me question her sense. Anyway, I have plans today, so it's not possible, I said and hung up. What a request to make to a mother-in-law. Having no daughter, I always wanted to be kind to my son's wife. However, I can't allow her to be presumptuous. I only want to accommodate reasonable requests. Caddy was far from the daughter-in-law I had envisioned. This one unreasonable request made that clear. I even thought that I wanted to keep my distance from her as much as possible. After that, Caddy would often call me to ask for favors like, "Can you pick me up?" Or, "I can't pay at the hospital, can you pay for me?" Her requests were often impudent, and usually involved money. "I don't have any cash on hand," being a common reason for her calls. I didn't comply every time, but ignoring all of Caddy's requests would complicate our relationship. So I reluctantly fulfilled about 1 in 3 of her demands. Eventually, I couldn't bear it any longer and confronted Ethan about Caddy's behavior. It can't be helped. Caddy's family is wealthy, so she's used to getting her way, Ethan said, sighing. Indeed, I had sensed wealth from the aura of Caddy's parents when I met them. However, that's a different story. I began to wonder if Ethan's indulgence was the problem. Even so, are you also giving in to her whims? If you do, Caddy will never change, you know. Well, I know, but without Caddy, I don't think I could ever get married again. Essentially, Ethan, mesmerized by Caddy's beauty, had married her, but he was exasperated by her unrestrained behavior. I must say, 40-year-old Ethan marrying such a woman was indeed miraculous. Ethan is aware of this and wants to keep the marriage going at any cost. So please overlook her whims a bit. I'll try to talk to her gradually, Ethan requested. Like Neil, Ethan is a man of few words and, like me, has a gentle nature. He probably finds it hard to stand up to Caddy's tyranny. I know Ethan's temperament best. That's why it was frustrating to hear this. After hearing Ethan's feelings, I continued my usual life, trying not to burden Neil, who was always working, with worries about Caddy. But Caddy's phone calls didn't cease. Enough is enough. Holding this frustration in my heart, the long vacation came, and Ethan and his wife visited our home. We're home! This house is still as old-fashioned as ever. Caddy complained as she took off her high heels at the entrance. She was dressed inappropriately for her age, in a crop top and miniskirt. Even Neil, who was unusually off work that day, frowned. As usual, I ignored Caddy's attire and rude remarks. Please, come in, I said, inviting them into the house. Caddy had probably come along with Ethan for the vacation reluctantly and didn't really want to be here. Her reluctance was transparent, making me feel uncomfortable. I had ordered pizza, thinking of a meal with Ethan and his wife, who were visiting after a long time. Does Neil always work? Yes. Was it okay for him to not work today? Today was fine. Caddy asked as if she wished Neil were not at home, making my husband's eyebrows twitch. I laid out the pizza on the dining table, trying to ease the awkward atmosphere between them. Come on, let's eat. You must be hungry. While Ethan exclaimed, Looks delicious. Caddy grimaced, staring at the pizza I had arranged. Ethan said, Let's eat. Just as Ethan reached for a slice, Caddy swept her hair back and pointed at the pizza. I can't eat such cheap food. Order again from a high-end restaurant. Her unexpected demand left all three of us frozen, our hands paused midair over the pizza. Caddy's eyes glittered fiercely, like a lion ready to pounce. Even if it's a cheap pizza, it's from a proper shop, I argued, trembling with anger but trying to remain calm. However, my words seemed to have no effect on Caddy, who snorted dismissively. That can't be true. I have a taste for fine food. This is just cheap stuff. Order a pizza from a high-end restaurant now! Caddy commanded in a strong tone. Neil and Ethan were shocked at her behavior, not used to seeing her act so terribly at home. Realizing that reasoning with Caddy was futile, I reluctantly nodded, gripping my mobile phone in my pocket. Yes, I understand. I silently stood up and headed to the kitchen, infuriated by Caddy's attitude. I was thinking of a way to teach Caddy a lesson. May I take a moment to do this? Just do it quickly, Caddy ordered. Hearing her tone, I felt free to retaliate. I called Neil into the study to share my plan. Her attitude is too much. What are we going to do? Neil, usually calm with me, was visibly upset by Caddy's behavior, showing a rare, stern expression. I'll order the pizza from a high-end restaurant as Caddy wants, and there's something else I'd like to do. What is it? I shared my plan with Neil. Then, understood. He crossed his arms. That might just teach her a lesson. Yes. Neil returned to the dining room, and I called a high-end restaurant to order several pizzas. The expense was a bit painful, but it seemed a small price to pay if it meant teaching Caddy a lesson. While we wait for the pizza from the high-end restaurant, why don't you go for a walk? I suggested to Ethan, glancing sideways at Caddy, who sat cross-legged and sulky, not touching the pizza we initially served. Ethan, wanting to alleviate the awkwardness, agreeing to my suggestion. Yes, that sounds good, he quickly concurred. A walk? Isn't the high-end restaurant's pizza here yet? I just ordered it, so it might take about 30 minutes. They seemed quite busy. Really? This is unbearable. Caddy stood up and left the house with Ethan. After confirming they were gone, I immediately began preparing for my plan with Neil's help. 30 minutes later, as the high-end restaurant pizza arrived, Ethan and Caddy returned. Caddy still looking displeased. Here, the pizza from the high-end restaurant has arrived. Please enjoy. I served the pizza on new plates in front of Caddy, placing the packaging from the high-end restaurant discreetly on the table. This is definitely different from the regular pizza. Delicious. That's great to hear. Caddy looked blissful, holding her cheek, a stark contrast to her earlier demeanor. Rebecca, you should have ordered high-end restaurant pizza from the start. It's only natural when you have guests. Caddy, that's too much. Ethan, perhaps feeling apologetic towards us, tried to stop Kathy, but it was Neil who spoke up. That was made by Rebecca. Huh? Caddy looked at Neil dumbfounded. Ethan was surprised, and I felt a thrill of revenge. You were so insistent on ordering from a high-end restaurant, I ordered just enough for a family of 3. So the pizza you ate wasn't from the high-end restaurant. Rebecca was training to take over her parents' high-end restaurant when she was young. She's practically a professional, having practiced for years. While you were out, she quickly made it. The pizza you had was Rebecca's homemade. Ours is from the high-end restaurant, but the taste is almost the same, maybe even better. Neil said this and took a bite of my pizza from Caddy's plate. Indeed, I had trained to become a pizza chef in the past. My dad was strict, and I honed my skills through constant practice and criticism until achieving perfection. I hadn't made pizzas much since getting married, but it was exhilarating to revisit my old skills. Caddy had praised my pizza, and at that moment, I internally celebrated my victory. Impossible! That can't be true. It's so delicious, no way it could be homemade. Ethan, is it true Rebecca's family owned a high-end restaurant? It's true. I used to go there often as a kid. Their pizza was definitely exquisite. What? Caddy trembled, shocked by this unexpected twist. What's with your attitude towards Rebecca? After preparing to welcome you with pizza, you disrespect her? And demanding high-end restaurant pizza? That's just outrageous. Neil, usually quiet, erupted in anger. Caddy recoiled at Neil's outburst, but still had the energy to retort. I didn't know. It's not my fault you ordered pizza. I never said I wanted pizza. Frustrated beyond words at Caddy's refusal to admit fault, I felt my anger wane. Ethan glared at her, seemingly on the verge of shouting. I decided to reveal my trump card. I've been listening to this conversation, Caddy. How could you be so rude to Rebecca? Huh? Caddy froze at the sound of her mom's voice, suddenly appearing. I didn't mean to. I showed Caddy the phone where her mom Wendy was on the call. I had called Wendy as soon as Caddy arrived, letting her hear Caddy's behavior. Wendy scolded. Don't be disrespectful to Rebecca. I didn't raise you to be like this. And if you continue this appalling behavior, you won't be welcome back home. She ended the call sharply. Caddy probably never imagined that she would turn her own mom against herself. For a while, she trembled in shock. Then, fine, I won't come to this house again, she said and left. Neil and I were relieved she was gone, feeling refreshed. Ethan looked conflicted, but likely done with Caddy. I'm tired of being with Caddy. Better to be single than continue this marriage. That's okay. It's a shame about not seeing grandchildren, but you can find someone else when you're ready, I said. And Neil nodded silently. We continued eating the high-end pizza, just the 3 of us. Later, Ethan divorced Caddy, tired of her behavior. Their marriage didn't even last a year. It's better to be single than live with such stress, he concluded. After breaking up with Caddy, Ethan seemed somewhat relieved and focused on his work. Meanwhile, Caddy was scolded harshly by her parents when she returned home. I'm still in touch with Wendy, and we've become friends who meet for tea. Wendy, a generation older than Caddy, has a solid character, unlike Caddy. She plans to monitor Caddy closely until she can handle household responsibilities and secure a decent job. I can only hope that Caddy doesn't stray off the path again. I am planning a trip with Neil and Ethan soon. I'm really looking forward to this much-needed family vacation.